Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the State of Kahite. I would like to start off our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance given to us by General Doug Brown.
Please stand and put your hands over your heart and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The slide didn't work.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. I'm LaVon Mitchell, HOA Vice President of Programs, and I am your forum moderator for this evening's program. A few things before we get started. Please remember to mute or turn your cell phones off. If you can turn them off, that'd be great, because then we don't have to worry about those emergency calls coming through and they ring. Well, I guess you do want emergency calls. Never mind, scratch that comment. We will have a question and answer at the end of the program. We have a lot of speakers tonight, and we have a very tight timeline. So I will be strictly enforcing the timeline that they have to discuss their topics, but we will have time at the end for questions. So as the program continues, you think of questions, please jot them down, and we'll do the questions at the end of the program. If we run out of time on the programs, I'd like for you to send them to me at the email on the slide, or everybody knows my other email on Hotmail. If you send them to me, I'll get answers from whoever it is. And whoever you are, well, let's see, I think I've got it. So whoever you are asking the question of course, we always ask that you come up to the center mic, state your name, who the question is directed to, and then ask your question. So, our agenda, we've got a full agenda tonight. This agenda was created by all of you. A couple of months ago, I had sent out a request, what did you want to hear about? So things that you're going to hear tonight are things that you have requested. We're going to start out with Tellico Village Kahite Women's Organization, and Nancy is going to give us a brief overview of what the TVKWO is all about. That's going to be followed by Kim Rohde, who's going to talk about the Beautification. After that, we're going to have a tag team, Mutt and Jeff, Tom McPhee and Kurt Mitchell will get up and they'll talk about the pub, things that have happened with Kahite Pub, and they'll also talk about the newly created Food Services Advisory Committee. So that's going to be a pretty interesting program. We have POA committee reports that, first of all, is going to be long-range planning from Bruce Polanski. That's going to be followed by governmental affairs from Greg Reddy. We're going to hear from Jeff Johnson related to the architectural committee, and we're going to wrap it up with Ron Coles giving us an update on the golf advisory committee. Sherry Lee is here for Neighborhood Watch, and that'll be followed by Jeanette Hoffman giving us an update on our emergency services. We have Bob Brunetti, who is the POA president, and he's going to give us some updates related to the POA and our lives in Kahite. And then we have Mitch Ingram, who is the mayor of Monroe County, along with Paulette Samit. They are here tonight, and they're going to give us an update on the state of Monroe County. Chet Pillsbury is here. He is our POA CEO, and he has a number of items that he's going to address that you all have actually asked about. So we look forward to hearing about that. Ed Grolemond, as I'm sure a number of you have seen, there's been a few emails about the new Kahite neighborhood website. So Ed Grolemond is going to talk about that. Ed Grolemond is also on the POA board, but he's been working on this website in conjunction with Joanne Kazmarek and Guy Calkins. And he's going to tell us a little bit about that website. That'll be followed by the question and answers. So a couple of things, and I think I have this on every year's slide. Talking about the roundabout, we always seem to get some emails related to the roundabout. If you are in the roundabout, you have the right-of-way. Please yield to people that are in the roundabout. But if you are in the roundabout, signal. You don't really think about it, but if you signal, it makes it a lot easier for people to know whether you're actually staying in or whether you're getting off. There's been a number of reports from people, which it's kind of crazy, but I feel like I need to bring it up. Walk towards the traffic, please. We've had people that have had earbuds in with a dog walking the wrong way with cars coming up behind them, and it's just pretty dangerous. I'm thinking they're visitors because I don't think anybody here would do it, but if you do have visitors from out of town, our roads are narrow to begin with, so please just keep an eye on that. An item I wanted to ask about, so when I first moved here, there were a lot of people that came in around the same time, and now I see a lot of new people coming in. We used to have weekly socials. Every Wednesday we would go up. Now once a month we would have music night, but every Wednesday we would call it a social. And everybody who was new would come up and we could meet new people. COVID hit, we stopped doing it, and we never really got back into it. So I would really like your feedback, an email to me or at the end. Do you see any value in starting those socials up again? You know, it might be something, or it might be, hey, no, we're fine. But just curious, I wanted to bring that one up. HOA. So this presentation is put on by the HOA. And I know a number of us don't belong to the HOA, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a member to be in this forum. But you may consider joining the HOA because they have a number of different opportunities. They have wine clubs, they have dinner clubs, where they have dinners that you do in people's houses, but then they also have dinners where they experience, you know, Loudoun County or Monroe County or, you know, Madisonville. They go to different restaurants and try things. They also have a group that actually cruises together or travels together. We have a lot of it, but it might be an opportunity for you to meet some different people, meet people from the village, and you might find a niche in something that's pretty interesting. So it's only $20 a year for the family. Might be something you think about. And then there's a website that you can look at for HOA. So I don't want to go over my time. So without further ado, I will introduce Nancy Gall, and she will talk about the Tellico Village Kahite Women's Organization.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Tellico Village Kahite Women's Organization, or TVKWO, has been around for 21 years, and we have 204 members. And our mission is to work on special purpose needs of Monroe County and promote fellowship within the Kahite neighborhood. We conduct fundraisers and then give the money that we raise to 501c3 charities in Monroe County. The members vote on which charities get the money. And last year we gave $5,300 to the Hopewell Fire Department and $2,500 to Isaiah House. We have committees that give support to all of Kahite, not just the TVKWO members, starting with the Welcome Committee. Chances are all of you met with a TVKWO member when you first moved in, and you heard all about the community. You got a map of Kahite and the important vial of life. Just a reminder, if you haven't filled this out, it's for, so if you're in the hospital, they know, or there's an emergency, everyone knows what medications you need to be taking. The Sunshine Committee is just that. They spread sunshine. If someone has been ill or recently had surgery or lost a loved one, they send cards, and they even can provide meals if you've had surgery or if your wife has and you don't cook. You contact TVKWO, the representative for that month, and they can arrange to have meals. And that's for all of Kahite, but we need your input. So every month, right now, Levon sends out the announcement of who the Sunshine representative is. And please don't hesitate to contact her. It's Judy Hill this month. The bereavement committee, very important committee, and when someone in Kahiti passes, we meet with the surviving spouse and ask if they want a celebration of life, and the bereavement committee prepares the event at the family's wishes. TVKWO provides all the food, we set up the tables, we do all the cleanup, and we provide important support to the family at a very difficult time. We meet every fourth Monday of the month at 6:30 right here in the KCC. We start out with a general meeting, and then we have hopefully entertaining or informational presentations. Last month blew everyone away. We heard from representatives from the Forensic Anthropology Center at UT, also known as the Body Farm. And that was a really terrific event. And this month, April 22nd, we're going to hear from an aspiring young gal who's trying to make the Peruvian swim team for the Olympics. She's training at UT right now, and we'll hear all about her path to Paris. And finally, I want to inform everyone about our next fundraiser, which is April 28th, right here in this community center. It's being turned into a women's pop-up boutique, and all the women are invited. We have all sorts of wonderful donations of, I haven't gotten the sign yet, clothes, purses, shoes, jewelry, and it's going to be a tremendous event. So watch your email for details on the pop-up women's boutique. Thank you. I think Kim's up next.
Next, we have Kim Rohde, and he's going to talk about the Kahite Beautification. You just tell me when to go.
Good evening. I was going to do a couple things to allow debate here, but I guess I can't do that. So the big thing I know everybody wants to hear about are the marked trees on the island. But before we do that, our last big project, we're finally getting our new irrigation system put in on the front garden, which is something we've been working for a couple years. Now our attention is to the island. Those of you that are relatively new, 10 years ago, 8 of us took down 88 trees off that island. If you've never seen the pictures of it, you could not see through it because of the trees. We took another 9 down a year ago. There's another 7 marked up there now. Sure, click. This from the entrance, the trees that are marked because number one, they're probably, do I have to speak in that? The trees that are marked up there are, the number one reason is they're dead or dying or rotten. The front one right here, the big one as you enter, if you look at the bottom couple feet of it, you can push your finger into parts of it, it's so soft. If it were to fall down and not hurt anybody, it would go over the power lines coming into Kahite and take them down. That's one of the reasons why that one's marked. That type of thing. Okay, go ahead. When we had over 100 trees on there, as you see, most all of them could only grow one direction. There's no real good trees up there. The term that they use for that type of trees I can't use now, but they're bad trees. This, go ahead. These two, one of them is rotten in the bottom, and if we take one down, the branches are intertwined. Go ahead. This one is double. I wouldn't suggest you do it. We did last year, not knowing for sure, but it is rotten in the center, and there's a beehive in there. So if you jam a log or something in there, you will find out how quickly they come out. Now, what we propose to do is to take these 7 trees out of there, which will give us enough sunlight that we can then grow something. As you see, we can't even grow weeds up there right now. So our idea is to take those 7 trees out of there. We're going to lift up all of the block, those concrete walkers some of us put down there one day a few years ago in a couple of hours. Take those up and put new ones down that are in a nice, stable, and look very nice fashion, about running the same way they are now. Then we'll put a couple inches of topsoil down through that area and seed it, so that when we're done, the island now becomes, rather than a mud bath, which it is now, it'll become usable, it'll become beautiful. With the gardens around it, we'll be able to do more things in plantings, and we'll turn the island into, I think, a showcase area as you enter Kahite. Yeah, we're going to have to take down 7 more trees, but as none of them are what you call quality trees. They just got to go, because some of them may come down on their own. I know this is a point of contention with some people. If you have an objection to this that you want to take somewhere, please don't call the POA board and bludgeon them. This is on your volunteer committee. Remember, we're volunteers, so don't shoot our dogs or anything. But this whole idea is, that come to me with this. Send me an email, call me. Don't call Chet and don't call the people over there, because this is our thing. And if we find that there's a need for a neighborhood meeting just for that, to vote on it, we'll do it. I don't think there should be, would be, or could be, but we can do it. Is there any others on there? This, the thing we want to take out and develop it so that it looks nice with a different type of stone, and make this a much, much, much nicer area. Now, this is where we can't grow because there's just too much shade. Then our next project would be, after that, we want to get a new irrigation system in up there, because the irrigation system right now, in order to get enough water on the plant beds, we have to saturate everything, and this all turns into mud. With a new irrigation system, we can direct it and make it like we're going to down at the front. Our fund drive will be coming up the week of May 13th. We're asking you again this year to throw in $30, 8 cents a day. 8 cents a day takes care of the entrance garden, the guardhouse flowers, the roundabout, and the triangle gardens. If we don't do it, they won't look like they are now. You'll be able to drop off $30 during the week. There'll be one of us up here under the drive-in. You can drive through and drop it. The 2 boxes across from the books in the clubhouse, you can drop it off, or you can drop it off in any of our mailboxes. We'll send you the 9 members' mailboxes, and we're available to you whenever you want us to come and pick it up if you want that. But for 1 week, we would like to get this done. Nobody wants to make this a career. So if you get this done in 1 week, we would appreciate it. $30, if you want to give $1, that's good. If you want to give 100, that's good. We're asking for 30. That gives us what we need for the year. Shalom. Thank you.
And you stayed within your time limit. I'm so proud of you. Up next is food services, and Tom McPhee will kick us off, and then it'll be followed by Kurt Mitchell.
Yes. I've got lunch. So there's going to be a quiz. What's the first slide? So what are the changes in the POA board and restaurant services? So a little bit of history. We used to have Kahite was originally third party, but then came into the fold of POA a long time ago. And they outsourced Yacht Club, Tanasi, and Tokwa to a third party. And so this year, come the fall, a POA board and Chet thankfully agreed to resource in all the restaurants back into the same management facility as Kahite. So we insourced all the restaurants to be under the POA. So it kind of makes sense, right? So if you think about it, the golf courses, would you ever have the golf courses outsourced to Golf Now and say, you know, you guys, we'll buy all the equipment, we'll maintain all the equipment, and you just run them for profit? Or wellness center, would you bring that in and say, you know, let's do it for Fitness Now. You run it, we'll buy the equipment, we'll maintain it. So it never really made sense, but that's what we did with food services. And that was because we were nervous about being able to hire somebody to manage food services. So as we have done that now, it really kind of makes a lot of sense. So we've insourced them, and all of our restaurants now are under POA. So it's a big step. It really is. And it makes a lot of sense because every dollar you spend goes back to your POA. We have now a chance to make this an incredible amenity for Telco Village. But it requires all of us to participate, to go to our restaurants, to eat, dine, drink, and if something's not quite right, that's okay. Tell your server and let them get a chance to fix it. This is now our amenity that can help contribute to not just financially, but more importantly, our quality of life here. It's an amenity. It's a place you want to go and have dinner, have lunch. It's a meeting place for all of us. So this is a great thank you to Chet and the board. But this is a great venture that we all need to support and try and make successful. All right. What's next? Do I click them or?
I got it. The history.
All right, so I think that's, so in 2018, the POA board, which at that time was not necessarily supportive, was ready to vote to close the Kahite Pub and Grill. For all of you that are new here, they wanted to change it and do pre-made sandwiches and canned beer, a La Pro shop, and shut the restaurant completely down. They said, we're done. We did $198,000 worth of sales in 2017. We probably lost, I'm pretty sure, $70,000 in subsidy, and they said, we're done. We're done with Kahite. We don't want to do that anymore. So we convinced them that, no, do not do that. We convinced them that we'll do 10% increase in sales every year. We will reduce the subsidy every year. And the POA board at that time said, we'll give you 1 year. 1 year to turn this around, otherwise you're done. Which I can't imagine what that would look like today. Because if we did, it would have been so hard to recover if they ever shut it down. So what we did, what you did, we went from sales of $198,000 in 2017 to over 600,000 last year. All because of you, because of Angie and her team improving service and supporting it. This year, 2 months in, we're already 66% over last year. So what you guys have done supporting this restaurant is absolutely incredible. And it is a venue that we need to continue to protect. And for a lot of you may or may not know, the portico, we had 205,000 households raised $247,000 to build the portico out there, which doubled the size of the restaurant. Last year, we convinced the POA to commit $375,000 to expand our restaurant, which will show you some slides. This was on the budget for 3 years. And thank you, Chet, very much for saying, damn it, get it done. Because it kept going year after year after year, and the price obviously kept escalating because of cost year after year. Thank God Chet said, get it done this year. So lest we forget, this is what it used to look like. This was the double wide and the patio that we had. This is what we have now, the Mountain View patio, and it has become a destination. So I don't know if how many have seen the car club come up here in the last 2 years with the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis. They come from Chicago. They ship their cars in, and they travel over here. There's like 70 of them, and come and have lunch here as a destination. Kitchen before. So that's what it used to look like. So now, with the expansion, look at it. The prep area, new and improved, the room to work, the state-of-the-art ovens, amazing. So what's new at Kahite Pub and Grill? All right, happy hour now starts 3 to 5. $1 off all draft beers, appetizers, drinks. Kahite Restaurant is open now at 7:30 in the morning to service the Gulf community. They're providing coffee, full beverage, pre-made sandwiches, and yogurt cups with fruit and that. Kahite will open for breakfast Saturdays and Sundays, 8 to 11, when they get the staff. So we're still trying to get staff in to support it. New menu items, Concord chicken salad, pizzas, etc. Check it out. Music nights featuring Hillbilly Jedi, Casey and the Silver Wings, which are, who knows who they are? Local. Our own Casey and the Silver Wings will be performing here. And every day ends in Y is a good day to have food and beverage and drinks up here. So I'm going to turn it over to Kurt. But first of all, I'm going to do this. So I was going to do this at the start, but I'm going to do it again. So you got to sing this.
Speak into the mic, Tom. Speak into the mic.
All right, so you got to sing this. So this is going back to a decade ago. What's the first thing you know? What's the first thing you know? All right, I'm going to give you a hint. The first thing you know, old Jed. And Jed said, move away from there. All right. Anybody get it? Right. Good job.
Boy, guys, that's a hard act to follow there. But you know, I've been waiting 6 years to get this microphone. I got a lot of things to say. Not really. My wife said she'd kill me. But guys, it's a privilege to be here, and it's a great day for Kahitians. It's a great time to be here, great time to be a part of Telco Village. We got so many good things going on. And you've seen in the last 3 months, since we found out in November, we started this Food Service Advisory Committee that Mitzi Lane back there, our COO, Skylar McClurkin, who is our general manager of all 3 restaurants, and John Orr, who is he's a liaison. He's on the board. They interviewed a bunch of us, and they picked 6 of us so far, and I think we're looking for one more to become a part of this. But we started meeting in November of last year, preparing for the January 1st takeover. So we spent every week, every Tuesday, and we spent several hours, and I thought, she made me apply, and I said, nah, I don't think I want to be on a committee, but it's the best thing ever happened to me. You know, and being a part of this team, we got a picture up of it yet? Put a picture up. Yeah, and we've got 6 people there, and Tom McPhee is our chair, and Tom Lee is our vice chair. He lives in the village. We've got Lisa Harrington. She's our secretary, and man, she's good. She's a dietitian. She's got a lot of good ideas. You're going to see a lot of stuff coming out of her here in the next few months, new menu items. And then we've got Jim Barton and Raymond Ruoff, and then me. And it has been so much fun, and we are looking at a lot of good changes, and that's what I kind of want to tell you about here, of what we got coming on. But it's been exciting. Obviously here we're blessed with Angie and her team, but we've made so many improvements in the other 2 over there. We don't have Tenacity yet. It'll be a couple years for that, but Tokwa has improved tremendously. And if you guys watch next door, you see a tremendous amount of information coming out of there. And but I have to say, it's turned from ugly to beautiful. I see about 95% of it, people are like, I'm amazed. I had good service. I had great food. There's still some issues, don't get me wrong. We've got a long way to go. But here is kind of our, you know, we let Angie train and done a good job. And Skylar, we've got him. The first thing we saw when we tried to do this, and I had 19 years experience in the food business, and I said, Skylar, buddy, you better interview every day. People walk into this town every day. And the turnover rate in the food business, as a lot of you know, is high. And in the Knoxville area, it's 48%. Here, we're 24%, which isn't good, but it's not bad. But you have to get you have to hire like 3 people to get 1, and people, they don't work like they used to. Still got a lot of great ones, like Angie and our team here, and some good ones in the other. Y'all are seeing the good people. If you go over and experience the other restaurants, man, we're seeing some great people over there, and they're buying into it. But the most impressive thing is you guys. Y'all have bought into it. And you see the sales are up. And the first 3 months of the year are the hardest for the restaurant industry, especially here. You know, we got people are gone, they're snowbirds, they're getting out of here, getting away. But we've had a lot of people move in, and we've got more and more people are now supporting us because they like it. And this is the amenity. It's not a profit maker. We're trying to get it there slowly but surely. But the golf is not a profit maker. The food's not a profit maker. I think they make a little money maybe off the exercise, the clubs over there, that they do okay. But we are trying to get back. But the first thing we want to do is be an amenity, because that affects the value of your house. And our marketing people would tell you that if you don't have good restaurants, you don't have good golf. And we got hiking trails that today we had Gary Muller. A lot of y'all know he engineered for the last 10 years. He's been doing the trails all over Telco Village. You know, those things make a difference with people coming in. So one day, every one of us in this room are going to sell a house. So the support of all these amenities need to be on our shoulders. Take pride in it, take ownership in it. So we're very happy to have that. And now, what we got now is, you got the people? You got people? No, that's right, that's right, okay. All right, so, all right, that's good, okay. So now, we talked about the staffing, all that's done. Now, what's happening with the staffing is HR has been very, very instrumental in helping us. We have Russ and Emily, And they've devoted the time to let Skylar run operations, and they are working really hard. They vet the people, they bring all the interviews in, and Skylar approves them, but that's been a big plus, just trying to get people in here. So that has been a big plus for us to get staffed in all 3 restaurants. And some things we're working on, just to let you know, plus the thing that we have, the best thing that I want to mention is the benefits for our people. We have health, dental, vision for our people. We have a 401k that a lot of you probably going to go back to work when I tell you this. They've got an 8% match on the 401k. 8% match. Now, the people that we can keep here, give them a opportunity to grow and advance in their careers, but 8%, buddy, that's a lot. Wish we all made 8% on our accounts right now. So that's a good thing to have. But so we're happy. Plus they get to play golf. You see Angie and Casey out there playing golf. So they're loving it. It's free golf for them at certain times. So that's been a big plus with us keeping people and having good benefits. And so we're working hard to stay staffed, because you're not staffed, you're not going to build sales, you're not going to give good service. Now, we're working on a couple of things, and I'll close up here because I ain't gotten flashed yet, but I have. I can't read upside down. We're working on, in the next month, a loyalty program that will get your phone numbers, will get your emails. You'll get email updates on our specials. You'll get updates on events on a daily basis, your prerogative, whichever way you want to do it. And we're working on a program to give you special kickbacks and special, things for, if we discount, if we give you a free appetizer, free dessert, whatever. We're working on that. Hopefully, get with Aloha. It's our new software program, and they're working with Skylar. They've had a couple of hiccups, so we're hopefully get that implemented this month, and you'll be seeing information about that. And we're working on a couple other little things. One of them being a prepay program, kind of like the golf. If you want to put in $500, $1,000 into it, that way you don't feel like you're spending money. It's already sort of disappeared. And the guys can drink beer and the wives won't know, and the wife can drink wine and the guys won't know. So it's my time. But the last thing I want to say is, like Tom said, it's an amenity and support it. And one thing I want to encourage you is, like I just said a while ago, I didn't want to be on an advisory program, but we got a lot of people in Kahite. We got 8 or 9 advisory committees out there. A lot of people in Kahite are there. Our voices are being heard all over the village. We got great people in the village. Got a lot of sharp people, great intelligence, great experience, and they're right here in our own community. So go look at these advisories when their openings come up. And they change over every 2 or 3 years. And see if you like it. You can go to an open forum. They all have an open forum once a month. Go visit it, ask questions, see what they do, and see if you can participate. I challenge you. Thank you. You want an encore? You gonna get an encore?
All right. I knew somebody was going to take all the time, but that was good information. Our first committee report is going to be from Long Range Planning Committee, and that is going to be Bruce.
Okay. Apparently not.
There goes the system.
Okay. I don't know. Let me see. I should be able to.
Is it frozen?
Let's see. Okay, got it. Okay, I'm here to talk to you about long-range planning, which I've been a member for a number of years. We'll start out and go through the charter. We're another advisory committee. We're appointed by the board. There are 7 volunteers on the committee. We meet twice a month, and we have quarterly public meetings because 6 to 20 years out, not that much changes every month to report on. But every quarter we do have a public meeting that everybody is welcome to attend and get an update and bring your questions. We're always happy to answer. We report directly to the board of directors, and the key elements of our charter are 6 to 20 years in the future. That's what we're looking at. The departments and a lot of the other committees are looking at putting out fires tomorrow, what's happening in 4 or 5 years, but we try to look 6 to 20 years in the future. We look at growth and demographics, changing demographics, what trends are coming in that are going to affect our operations that we have to react to. You've probably all taken our survey, the big survey we do every couple of years, to get opinions and data to work with. We're big on data. We like to make our decisions with data behind them that we can show how we got there. We also benchmark other communities. And we give the data and other input as requested to the POA Board of Directors. And we also develop the long-range strategic plan. We did in 2019. We updated it, I think, in 21. And every couple of years, we present it to the board, and then they accept it or ask for changes. Okay, our members. Phil Brenner's the chair. Dominic Andriana is the vice chair. Jim Alexander, Chris Alsop, Cheryl Huber, Tom McChrystal, myself are all members. You can see there's no lack of Kahite support for long-range planning. We're covered. Bob Brunetti, who's our board liaison, and Chet Pillsbury, who's got a open agenda item at every meeting with us, so anything he needs to or we need to talk to him. I want to talk a little bit about our goals. What is it we're going to do this year? You know, what did you do for me lately? This year, we're going to continue a strategic long-range facilities plan and utilization forecast. The board asked us to look at the facilities and say, okay, you know, what's the capacity? How much are we using with an eye towards when we hit build out, we can have enough. So far we've done meeting space and restaurants. It made the best projections we can with the data available and also point out opportunities how we might be able to get better data to make even better projections in the future. This year we're looking at recreation. You know, are there enough court and exercise room space and pool space to meet our needs through build out? We're looking at parking. We're going to look at especially places like the yacht club and even Kahite that are high use areas that we may need to look at. Some may have parking issues in the future. We're also going to look at marinas. And this year we have a plan to do an extensive benchmark of other communities. It was last done in 2014. We want to do it again this year, but we're still debating if we do a traditional benchmark and see how we stack up, or if what we really need to do is determine what are the future needs, what are future residents going to be looking for, and benchmark people who already have that. So those are our goals. It's keeping us busy. We've got our meetings and then subcommittee meetings. Another thing that we've been working on is a forecast that shows how population has increased and with an eye to projecting where it's going to go. Let's see. We basically, you know what? The slide is not lining up. So the dots on there are actual data, and what it shows, we are at 83% build out at the end of 2023, and we do high build rate, medium and low build rate forecasts. This year they all converged in 2027 using a standard regression analysis on the data that we have. It's not right. We know it, because we're getting to the point where we've got lots that are not going to go as fast, may never go at all. Somebody bought a lot next to them, so nobody'd build there. Nobody may ever build there. So we're revising our projections from here on out to factor in that decay. So we'll at least know for a given year what percentage build out do we expect to be at. And the last thing I wanted to touch on is, there we go. We got a question for this presentation. Why didn't long-range planning forecast the sewer problems? Good question. You think that's the kind of thing we ought to be on. Well, the response is, if you look at the last major update to the long-range plan in November of 2019, basically what the plan stated was the sewer and water infrastructure were originally designed for 85% build-out, and between 2026 and 28, projected the Loudoun campus water and sewer systems will begin to experience bottlenecks, necessitating additional infrastructure reserves. Since then, there's been a Jacobs engineering study. So far in the main village, it's also going to happen at Kahite for water and sewer, with reports for public works and POA staff and board. And the reserve study has taken this into account and includes upgrades spread out over several years, 2024 through 28. So, but the timing, pace of upgrades, and methods to fund the expense are all challenges for the board and current staff, but I like to think the good news is we did foresee it, and it was in our long-range plan, and it's being acted on. Okay, on that note.
Thank you, Bruce. And thanks for getting this thing working again. Okay, Greg, ready?
Sure, if you tell me. Just go forward.
It's on screen.
Okay. All right, good evening, everybody. My name's Greg. I'm with the Governmental Affairs Committee. I'd like to start out first with who we are. As you can see, there's 3 of us. Of the 7 are Kahite residents. We got Mike Polson, Vice Chairman, and Scott had a previous engagement. So we're well represented as we are on the other committees. I'd like to start out with what we do. And we're the outward-looking committee. Everybody else is explaining what they do in the committee. We look out, we liaison, and we're the advocate for Tellico Village. We go out to committee meetings, we go out to the commissioners' meetings, we go out to the mayor's meetings, we go out to utility boards' meetings, we go out to any meeting that might have some effect with or on the residents of Tellico. Both in Loudoun County, we have a challenge because we have Loudoun County and we also have Monroe County, so we have a larger workload. But we bring, assess what's going on in the local community, all the way up to state and national level, and we report back to the TVPOA and then the Board of Directors. Besides researching the workings of legislation and laws that could affect us, or advising or trying to find out laws that we might generate here within Tellico to take to legislators. We also keep busy with the get out to vote information. I have some get out to vote cards for the upcoming elections. They're over on the counter if you want to grab some on the way out. They have the information there. Okay, that's what we do, how we do it. What we do is we go out to a myriad of meetings that people will have effects, county commissioners meetings again, and like I said, mayor meetings and such. And we gather the information, listen, and bring back information that could affect both Kahite and the main village. We also go out to different organizations, different agencies, liaison with different officials. Plus, we invite officials into our meetings so we can have an hour or so with them. We can speak and ask questions so we can gather information that way. What we try to do is we develop programs and communications. We put communiques out to the village, in the Kahite News, advising you of elections, issues that may affect you and such. And then we support the community by inviting the candidates for elected officials. We invite them in for forums, well, you have one coming up, we'll talk about that in a couple seconds. Then again, we also keep encouraging the citizens to vote. Some state information election, that's on these cards. So if you don't get copies of the slides, I won't read the copies of the slides. There's a lot of information on there, but the important thing to know is, especially for new voters in the state of Tennessee, Tennessee voting might be a little bit different than the state you came from. So you can go down, just know the dates. We have 2 elections coming up. And then if you have information, these are your POCs. For Monroe County, you can call down to the election committee commission down in Madisonville. They have a good staff there. They came up here and talked to us a couple times. Give them a call or go down there. They're right by the Marble Works. If you go on the main street of Madisonville, they'll be lucky. They'll help you register. They'll give you information. Very helpful there. And then there's also State of Tennessee, which has information which will take you a step up from county to your state election. One thing though you'll find out differently here is we don't support an individual party, or we don't endorse a candidate. We gather all of the candidates in and put out as much information as we can for each party, each candidate, so everybody's equally represented. However, you'll find out in this area somehow there's been questions about why we didn't do this certain party or that certain party. You have to realize that we focus on Monroe County in our district. Sometimes for some reason there's a certain party's not represented, or a candidate does not want to come to our forum. So we don't endorse a certain party. We're open to all candidates, and we try to get you as much information as you can regarding any candidate from any party or any type of candidate. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to have a government affairs sponsored candidate forum here. It's going to be for the August 1st election. Again, that's one of the elections that you might not have in your prior state as a local election before the national election. Our our forum will be the 13th here from 4 to 6. The candidates are going to be determined. All the candidates that have declared have been invited and accepted so far. However, the filing candidate for Monroe County, for the people that we'll be voting on as residents of Monroe County and our district here, the filing deadline isn't until April 11th. So about April 12th, we'll have the official filing deadline, and then we'll get the invitations out to the candidates, and we'll start advertising who's going to be there so that you can attend. One thing, the candidates are impressed with the attendance here at Kahite. They love seeing the open, the full house and the people standing outside. So please continue to support these candidates, because the more they see that we're interested in them, the more interest they'll probably show in us. So that's all I have. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening.
Architectural, Jeff Johnson. Do you want to do the control?
Sure. All right. I'm here to talk about the always popular Architectural Control Committee. Just quickly, anybody here who's currently building a house? I see a lot of faces I recognize. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. That's mostly what we do, is we focus on that. The committee, I gotta have it. There we go. We've got 5 voting members from the community on the committee, plus 2 other from the ACC. So we've got Matt Benoit, who's the Director of Public Works, and Mike Giffen, who's the ACC manager, who also vote in our meetings. Jeff Hurst is our chair. Mobile is our vice chair. And then we've got 3 others from the community that are part of that. Then we also have participated in each one of these meetings, Holly Hooper, who's our administrator, Kevin Stevens, who's attorney, and that's always very helpful because when we get into situations where we're trying to take a little bit more legalistic view of some of the Blue Book requirements, it's helpful to have him there. And then finally, we also have a board liaison. We don't have a standing one, it tends to rotate. Haven't seen Ed yet. We have seen John Orr, and Bob's sat in a couple of times. So that's the group. All right, so what do? We meet first, third Thursday of each month, 10 a.m., POA boardrooms, open meeting. Anybody can come in and participate. It's largely, however, composed of builders, where we are talking about new construction permits, reviewing them and approving them, or sending them back for changes to meet Blue Book requirements. So the focus of what we do is, and paraphrasing what's in the protective covenants, enforce the covenants and restrictions using best efforts to reasonably protect the Tellico Village aesthetics. That's really our primary focus of all things is aesthetics, and the property values and owners' health, safety, and welfare. So we do that by establishing, reviewing, modifying standards, the Blue Book from time to time. We establish fines and fees. Those are some new things that came out in this last year's Blue Book. And then we issue construction and change permits. So as I say, the Blue Book covers the residential standards. Red Book, which reads a lot like the Blue Book, but it does have a little bit different focus, is covering commercial properties. So, I do have one graphic here. It's, QR code. When I sent it to Levon, if you scan that, it'll take you directly to the Blue Book. Blue Book is not anything you have to have your ID to get into. You can do that. I say that because I don't know if Kurt maybe changed it to something you don't want to go to. All right, so what does the Blue Book do? It clarifies the covenants and restrictions. Covenants and restrictions is very much a legal document. The Blue Book is a living document. As I say, November 1st of last year, we updated. Carla's checking to make sure it's clean. Kurt. So we updated November 1st of last year. We've been making some notes as we've gone along this year, things that have come up as we've gone through the meetings, that we've decided, we probably need to add a little bit of clarity, add a new standard, maybe take some standards out, depending on what the topic is. But the changes last year were things like structures, enforcement structure, and fines that we'd never had before until we actually had the Bill of Rights that we purchased from Cooper. We could not have a fine structure. So now we've got that. Why? Not because we're trying to raise revenue. Simply because we got some people out there who probably need a little bit of motivation. And we try to give them a reason by having these fines to move things along. It generally works, but for the most part, when we've got something that we think is not compliant, people take care of things, and they do it in the time frame that we all agree to. We also address rentals, short-term and long-term rentals. And then of all the other things, hot tubs and swim spas was a little bit more of a highlight last year. So we've got some actual standards about that. So as those kinds of things come up, solar panels is another one where we're probably going to be seeing some changes in the future. We'll address those. If you've got any particular ideas about things, if you're familiar with the Blue Book or you're worried about things, if you look around the community, you see some things that are a little bit odd or different or you like or you don't like, share them with a committee member and we'll make sure they get on the list to be considered. All right, so just real quickly, I'm not going to go through these. I just grabbed the most common permits and the fees that we charge for those. I will note on the miscellaneous that that's dependent on the size of the project in terms of cost, most are probably issued for little or no cost, little or no fine, or little or no permit cost. So, there you go. And just the types of things that you might see in a miscellaneous permit. Basically, if you're changing anything on the exterior of your house, please come get a permit. You might be told, yeah, don't worry about it, you don't need a permit. So for example, if you are if you're repainting your house, it's the exact same color it was, don't need a permit. Same thing with a roof. Changing the color, you need a permit. Those are just simple examples, okay? All right, I'll be real brief here. I got 4 quiz questions. I'm not going to linger on these. Real quickly, first one. How many new construction permits did we review last year? Anybody got a guess? 285. 285, very close. I think the highest month we had 29. So that was quite a few, and I was just trying to look around. I know Ken Heiserman was on the committee before I was on it during the high point. He probably had more than that. Those were long meetings. What % of those new construction permits were in Kahite? Close. Here's some close numbers, 11%. So of those 285, there was 30 new houses that were permitted last year. What % were for spec homes as opposed to owner built? Throughout all of Telco Village. This may be a little bit high because I was trying to gather data from minutes, but I had like 83% were spec homes. Okay? Now, they got sold quickly, right? Because people are anxious to get in here, but there was like 83%. Interestingly, it was 60% in Kahite. Know what that means? Finally, how many builders submitted permit requests? 55. A lot of builders. Now, Cook Brothers, they're there every week. They got 1 or 2 every week. Mashburn, okay? Those are probably your top 2. But we had a lot of guys we saw once or twice at most. So it's interesting. All right, last item, and I'll just let that sit there. Two more codes you can grab. Just the Architectural Control Committee page or the FAQ. Those are both behind the screen. So you got to actually sign in to get to those. But the Blue Book you do not. So that's all I got. Thank you.
And just so that you're aware, this deck, when we get it completed, I'm assuming I can work with Ed and get it onto that Kahite neighborhood website. So you don't have to make notes on it if you don't need to. It'll be out there for you but to be able to view it later. Ron, golf.
Hello, I'm Ron Coles, Vice Chair of the Golf Committee this year. By a long ways, I think 103 maybe was our biggest prior to that. We're budgeted, our budget written for golf is off of 100,000 rounds this year. Obviously, we're behind right now because of January, but we're gonna be fine. Last year, because of the number of rounds, we reduced our subsidy by $394,000. Golf subsidies about $1.2 million is what's recorded. We've been well under that every year since I've been involved for 7 years. Some of the things that we're going to be doing here coming shortly, we're going to update our scorecards. 2 things that's going to go on to them. Well, first of all, we've changed hole location or tee boxes like number 4. We're going to change a couple more here in the near future. And we still have the yardages from the old days on it. But we're also going to put a white-orange combination on and a green-yellow combination tee on the scorecards. We'll vote on this and pass it probably at this month's GAC meeting, and then we'll get going on it.
Couple of things that we're looking at in the future. One of the things we really need here at Kahite is a starter shack for our people, so they're not sitting out in the freezing cold in their carts and stuff. Mitzi is well connected to Sequoia High School. We've reached out to them, and their industrial arts class will build it for us. They are insured and licensed, so it gets us around all the danger aspects for the POA board and so forth. That's something that we're going to try to work with them and maybe get started very early in the fall. The other project that's big that's going to come late this fall, Jordan is going to start reclaiming the area surrounding our greens. Every one of our greens has shrank over the year from the grow in on the Bermuda grass. We're going to, number 11 will be the first one. It's shrank by better than 4 foot all the way around the green. He'll do 11, 12, and 16, I think, this fall. And he's going to do all of them over the next few years. I talked to Jordan, and I'm going to just tell you a whole bunch of things that's going on right now. This time of year, the month of April is probably the most important as far as taking care of the golf course, to have a golf course for us to play on this summer. And just for staffing issues, for the first time since I've been involved in golf, we actually are completely full at Kahite. We'll here shortly look for 3 full-time positions for the summer seasonal, and then several part-time high school and college kids to help work. But for our actual off-season, we are full for the time being. We're going to continue to look at, a year ago, last winter, we had a lot of freeze damage. We've got a lot of areas that's never really grown in, coming off cart paths and so forth. So in the month of May, he has a budgeted load of sod coming in to start repairing those areas and fix them back to get them to the normal quality of our course. They're mowing the no-mow areas again right now, and they're starting to mow the fronts of our tee boxes and so forth now. That will encourage the grass to grow and come quicker. In April, you're doing all the herbicide applications that really create the grass for us in the summer. The fungicides for the summer diseases, the high humidity times and stuff, that'll go down in late April, and then April 25th will be the big spring bulk fertilizer app, and that is what will really kickstart the Bermuda and really get us started consistently growing. They've just finished the project of checking all the depth of the sand in the bunkers. We had quite a bit of sand in several bunkers to get them back to the normal, so we take care of what we spent a lot of money to redo a couple years ago and keep them in the quality shape that we want them to be in. The clubhouse, which is one of our first impressions, they've done the mulching around the clubhouse. They work with the Beautification committee to start doing the flower plantings and so forth. And then we have just finished the project putting all new tee markers on all the golf holes and putting up the trash cans on every other hole and so forth. If you've been on the driving range, you'll see at the very back of the driving range, they put a berm out there to stop balls from rolling into people's yard at the end of it. Beautification give us $1,000 to get several trees to plant across the top of that berm that'll protect the houses and make it a much better look back there. We have out behind the driving range, we have a nursery bed for our bent grass for the fairways. He tripled the size of that this year to have the grass to start filling in when we're fixing the expanding the greens back out. We've got all new tee markers, updated tee markers. Don Sunquist and a bunch of the Kahite woodworkers have done new ones for us, added to the ones that are wore out and stuff, and he's also done that, I believe, for all 3 golf courses too. So thank Don Sunquist. Some of the capital equipment, we just finally got our 3500 rough mower in. We ordered that in February last year and got it a couple weeks ago finally. We have coming yet this year 2 new fairway mowers that are budgeted, and that 3500 mower also is what they mow all the clubhouse, restaurant area and so forth around here with. Upcoming events on Kahite. Tennessee Golf Association has had several events here the last few years and has absolutely fell in love with this place, which is the quality of the golf course tells you how good our team is and so forth. But we have the Tennessee State 4-Ball. Will be May 20th through the 23rd. That's a huge revenue driver for us. It'll generate about $18,000 that weekend. The Tennessee Golf Foundation Area Amateur will be June 1st and 2nd. On that one, they're playing in the afternoon. We will, as members, we'll tee off, go off front and back starting at 8 o'clock, so we shouldn't really infringe that much on our tee time. It's great to come out and watch those kids play. You're going to see some of the best players in Tennessee playing on it. Member guests for the guys is June 12th through 15th. And then we have a East Tennessee Golf Superintendent's meeting. Jordan's on that, as well as Wells is on that committee. They're going to have their event here, and then they have an afternoon tournament on Tuesday afternoon on June 25th. And one of the things I'd just say to you, you know, we have an incredible team here at Kahite, on all 3 courses actually, but here at Kahite, just an outstanding team. Those guys are out there every day. When you see them, when you're walking, when you're playing golf, say thank you. Make them know they're appreciated. They appreciate it, and it just kind of adds general fun to their day. Thanks.
Thanks, Ron. Sherry Lee, Neighborhood Watch.
You want me to do the slide? I'm not as tall as everybody else, so I'm gonna move over here. I see a lot of familiar faces in here, but I see a lot of new faces. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sherry Lee, and I am the head of the Tellico Village Neighborhood Watch program run through the HOA. Probably about 3 years ago, I sat in one of these State of the Village meetings here in Kahite because I lived here then. And our sheriff, Tommy Jones, was talking, and he mentioned something about maybe starting a neighborhood watch here in Kahite. And I talked to Tommy after the meeting, and I said, hey, I wouldn't mind helping you out because, you know, I had 31 years of law enforcement experience in LA. And next thing you know, 3 years later, I'm head of the whole Tellico Village program. So be careful what you volunteer for. That's what I got to say. These are the mugshots, the photos of your sheriff, Monroe County Sheriff Tommy Jones, and your fire department Chief Lee Fedley. This is what you need to know about your public safety. I do a presentation in the main village, and I kind of have to split it up between Loudoun County and Monroe County, but for all you folks here in Kahite, these are the only 2 main people you really need to know, because when you call 911, these are the people that are responsible for your safety. I put this out a while back. If you're on the Neighborhood Watch email, you got it, but just to kind of go over it for those of you who didn't, in 2023, some crime statistics, Tellico Village overall, and I include Kahite in all of Tellico Village, had 65 reported crimes. Kahite had 7 of those crimes. And don't get hung up on the names of these crimes, but that's kind of how they're categorized. They don't necessarily mean that they kind of panned out like that, but it's a reported crime. So 7 isn't bad. You know, you've got a community now of just under 600 homes. I asked Beth Kaburka today how many built homes are in Kahite, and she gave me that number, 596. So if you add about 2 people per household, you're looking at 1,200 people here in just in Kahite. The numbers in the main village are probably closer to 9,000. So we're doing pretty good as far as crime's concerned. Hopewell and Jeanette will talk about it, but they responded to, should have been changed. Should have had 69 calls for service here in Kahite, and those are mostly medical emergencies. Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit about Neighborhood Watch, because that's what I'm representing. I apologize. Lisa Lawson, who is your coordinator now here in Kahite, she apologizes. She had an out-of-town trip. Otherwise, she'd been doing this, and not me, but that's okay. I don't mind coming back to visit all you. What's Neighborhood Watch? It's all of you. It's everybody who lives here. And it's you being the eyes and ears of your area, your street, your neighborhood, and you're the first line of defense for preventing crime here in Kahite. Okay, so people always say, well, what do I do if I see something? Okay, and don't call Lisa if there's a crime happening. If you see somebody breaking into a house, don't call Lisa, because number one, she might be out walking her cute little dog, or 2, she's going to have to turn around and call. So what you're going to do first if you witness a crime or something's going on is you're going to call 911, and you're going to get the Monroe County Sheriff's Department or the Hopewell Fire Department, and you're going to be reporting any crime in progress, suspicious activity, fire, or medical emergency. Okay. Second, you can call the Monroe County Sheriff's Department non-emergency number to report a crime that has already occurred. There's no threat or danger of it immediately happening again. That number's there. That number's also on all the Neighborhood Watch signs here in Kahite. So if you don't get that number right now, when you drive by the sign, take a picture of it. Always have it. That's how I always remember it. I have a picture of it on my phone. Notify your Neighborhood Watch coordinator of any suspicious activities going on, regardless if you elect to call the Sheriff's Department or not. And you can send that information directly to Lisa Lawson at that email address right there. Or she even was nice enough to give you all her phone number so you can text her. So, you know, if you see something and this doesn't look right, but you're not sure and you don't really want to call and have the sheriffs come out, you know, set forward that information, because what we do is we bank all the information through Neighborhood Watch. And then sometimes that little bit of information comes up later on, and we tie the two together, and it helps the Sheriff's Department arrest or look for certain individuals that might have committed crimes in the area. And lastly, we always ask for the support of the Neighborhood Watch program through your donations. Kahite has been so generous in their donations to the guardhouse, for the sheriffs, and for those of you who aren't aware of the Vacation Away program you're offered here, it's very unique and it's very just Kahite. You have Tommy Jones, who supports his sheriffs in coming and stopping in at our guardhouse, and then they patrol your neighborhood here in Kahite as often as possible. And I'm going to say that there is at least one, if not 2 of them, at that guardhouse every single day, because they have to sign in there, so we know how often they're coming. Some 2024 updates from Neighborhood Watch. We just started this shoreline committee. And it's to combat neighborhood complaints regarding camping, hunting, and vagrants on the shorelines. Kahite, because you guys have a one way in and one way out, your shorelines are somewhat protected by your homes here. However, we are going to be addressing Niles Ferry that faces Kahite. And a lot of the other complaints are coming from other areas, not only Tellico Village, but this committee has included Rarity Bay, Wind River, Foothills Point, Tellico Harbor, and all the communities that are up and down the river right here, so that we can start working on the illegal dumping, the illegal campfires, the vagrants, a lot of complaints in everybody's community. I wanted to revitalize the participation of neighborhoods. We did a bulletin in the Telegram. I don't have that here. You guys are fantastic. It's more about the main village. Hoping to do a safety fair in 2024 where I can showcase some of the local companies that offer camera systems or alarms or things that would be beneficial to homeowners. And then I'm hoping also in the later part of the year to do the latest scams presentation. And if anybody is not on the email, go ahead, that's the email to address, or you can send it to Lisa directly. One last plug, and I know Levon mentioned this in the very beginning, the HOA, if you're not a member of the HOA, not only do they do the golf and the socials, but the Neighborhood Watch program is under the HOA. Litter Angels is under the HOA. The Highway Safety Committee is under the HOA. Tennessee Tree Day that they just had, and they gave away all those trees. Tennessee Smart Yards. These are all great programs besides golf, socials, and events that the HOA does. So $15 a year, I think it is, $20 a year is worth it, because without it, all these programs would be struggling to just stay afloat. So thank you very much.
Okay, I'm not that tall. Good evening. I'm Jeanette Hoffman. I'm one of the emergency medical responders here in Kahite. I've been an EMR for 5 years, and I'm here representing all of our EMRs. Our coordinator is Ginger McDonald, who couldn't be here this evening. Go ahead and put the first slide up there. I'm going to be talking mostly about medical emergency responding, a little bit about fire, but for the EMRs that are here, if you'll stand up, just so that people can see your faces. So at 3 in the morning when they're groggy-eyed and they call 911, they know you're not a stranger coming to your house. So we function under the umbrella of Hopewell Volunteer Fire Department. EMRs have to be underneath a fire department, and we work very closely with them. Right now we have 7 Kahite residents who are trained and licensed in the state of Tennessee. Ginger McDonald, myself, Barry Clark, Noemi Zerby, Linda Holton, Doug T. Brown, not the Brown, Doug that led us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Debbie Rude, and Bob Lennington is a Main Village firefighter and EMR who happens to build houses. So he is here during the day a lot of times, and so he has volunteered to also step in and answer calls, which is great, because we need more volunteers to be trained as EMRs and as volunteer firefighters for Hopewell. You do not have to have a medical background to do this. You do have to be able to be calm in an emergency, not, be too squeamish at the sight of blood, and be able to be, awakened at 3 in the morning. But we provide all the training and the licensing that you have to do, and anybody who has questions afterward, please feel free to see me, or you can email Ginger if you have any interest or questions about doing that. We would love to have more volunteers. Our goal is to keep 10 active. We have 7 right now, so we're down a little bit. We also have an advisory board of members that help us with things like policy and training and keeping track of our continuing education. One of our EMRs is even helping some of the firefighters write grants for funding. Go ahead and change slide. So as Sherry mentioned, we had 69 EMR calls. That means 911 called us for medical, usually illness or injury, or what we call public assist. Somebody who's an invalid needed help up. Their spouse couldn't necessarily do it by themselves. They need, some kind of help like that. We also responded to 7 fire, smoke, or carbon monoxide calls last year. All 7 of those were false alarms, thankfully. Not so much this year. So one note is, make sure your house has a carbon monoxide detector. And also make sure that the valve on your propane tank, since most all of us have one, is checked periodically so that it's not leaking. That's your public service announcement to save your life. So far this year, we are already, last year at this point on this date, we had had 11 calls. We already have had 18. So business is up, unfortunately. Yeah, go back to, yeah. Things that you can do to help the first responders are one, that vial life that your welcome visitor gives you. Please make sure you either have that filled out or have a written copy of your current medications and medical conditions that are going on. That's the first thing the paramedic in an ambulance is going to ask for. What is your history and what are your medications? So having that ready to go, because you never know when an emergency is going to happen. Install a reflective mailbox sign, not the little numbers that fall off and fade away on your mailboxes. Especially if your mailbox is across the street from your house, not right in front of it. These can be ordered through the main Tellico Village Fire Department, but we're going to have order forms at the Hopewell Golf Tournament, which is the big fundraiser on the first Saturday in May 4th. So you can order them there, and if you do it there, I will gather them all up and take them up to the main village, and when they're ready, I'll bring them back and bring them right to your house. So those are really important at night. You know, there are seconds and minutes can be wasted trying to find, is your house this one? Or, you know, my mailbox isn't really in front of my house. I don't have any house numbers on my house. So things to think about, how we can find you faster. Always call 911 when you have a medical emergency. Don't call your neighbor who happens to be an EMR and say, should I call 911? We legally cannot respond as an emergency medical responder unless it goes through 911 dispatch. So that is the best way to do it. Something that people don't realize is just because you activate the system, we will be at your house in 3 to 5 minutes. An ambulance will hopefully be there in 7 to 12, 15, 20, depends who's available and who's out there. That's why we have emergency medical responders, is to hopefully keep the situation stable, assess what's going on, get a history until the ambulance arrives. You are not required to take a ride in that ambulance if you call 911. If they come and assess the situation, they will help guide you and help you make that decision. But that doesn't mean you have to be transported somewhere. You can make that decision, and they may, you know, they're the ones there that are evaluating you and can say, you know, you can check with your doctor tomorrow, or your spouse really can drive you to the emergency department. You don't have to go in the back of our ambulance. But don't waste minutes calling somebody else and saying, should I call, should I not call? Just call. Again, the same non-emergency number here that Sherry had up, I have on here. Keep that in your phone. When you call, you know our street names. Naduli sounds like Niwadihi, sounds like, you know, add a Tennessee accent to that with the dispatchers. Learn your street number. So when you call, you can say, I'm at, mine is 112 Ganega Trail, Kahite Street number 300. So that way they send that to us, and we don't spend time going to Etsy instead of Unutsi, you know how that goes. Please support the Hopewell Volunteer Department fundraiser. One thing you probably got in the mail just a little bit ago is something from, because Monroe County Emergency Services is quite a big group. So Monroe County Rescue Squad, I know, sent out a mailer. They are also a nonprofit organization that supports emergency services in Monroe County. They do things like extrication from vehicles. They have all the equipment to get the jaws of life and get you out of a car. They also do swift water rescues. They also do search and rescue. So, you know, that is something you should also support besides Hopewell Volunteer Fire Department. There are a lot of different moving parts in Monroe County Emergency Services. That's all I have for tonight. Any questions anybody has, you can see me after.
Thanks, Jeanette. We are now going to hear from our very own Bob Brunetti. Oh, wait. No, I've got Mitch up next. No, Bob should be next. Okay. Yep, you didn't have any. Did you have slides?
I sent them, you said you got them.
I did.
You told me you got them.
I did get them. I think you're just going to have to talk to it.
Okay, all right. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Bob Bernetti. I'm actually the president of the POA for 2024. I've lived here in Kahite for 11 years. This is my 3rd year on the board. And last December, I was sort of sitting at the last meeting where electing new officers. All of a sudden, I was elected president of the board for 2024. Not quite sure how that happened, but it happened. Besides myself, we had another board member elected, Ed Grohlman, who's over here, who's jumped in with both feet. And this is his 1st year on the board, so 2 out of the 7 board members are from Kahite. I had a slide with some numbers, which apparently didn't get activated. Now, there's a little talk about Kahite, a couple things. One, the fence is fixed, 90%. We're still waiting for the railings, but the fence itself is fixed. The new pickleball courts are up and running and very popular, those of you who play pickleball. Kahite lots. People ask me all the time, how many lots are in Kahite? Well, there are 843 plotted lots in Kahite. The number I got yesterday was 598 homes, including the ones that are under construction. And there's 1 home on for tomorrow, so that'll be 599. So Kahite's about 73% built out. There are 10 POA lots presently in litigation with the POA that are not for sale, that are not saleable at this time because there's title problems, there's tax problems, there's foreclosures, whatever. So am I too far from the microphone? I'm sorry. I usually speak loud enough nobody has to worry about me. There are 9 private lots for sale, and there are 7 homes for sale at this time. Just a little information about the property in Kahite. In 2022, there were 30 homes that were sold at an average price of $584,000. In 2023, there were 29 homes that were sold at an average price of $769,000. That works out to, in 2022, the square foot was $239 per square foot. In 2023, $273 per square foot. So if anybody's thinking about selling, it's still a good time. As far as the lots go, there are, we'd say, 240 lots. How many people here own an extra lot? I know a lot of people in Kahite do own an extra lot. Apparently nobody here tonight. Okay. Sewer and water. One of the things the POA has been looking at is sewer and water, not only in Kahite, but throughout the village. Because we have this large boom in property owners and new houses. In between 2020 and 2023, we built 931 homes throughout the village, which has put it taxing our sewer and water system. So we've commissioned studies with Jacob Engineering concerning the sewer and water in Kahite. Last August, we had a study done just on the Kahite system. We got a preliminary report just 2 weeks ago from them, basically saying that our system is in good shape. At some point in the near future, over the next couple of years, we're going to have to upgrade the pump system because the increase in the people, the increase in the housing, that pump system, which you all know is behind the driving range, that little area behind the driving range, there's the little stone building there. That's where all the sewage, wastewater is the correct term. So all the wastewater comes to there, goes to there, and then is pumped out. I had a slide showing the sewer system because one thing is unique in here. We have 1 water line coming in and 1 sewer line going out. The water line comes in near the main entrance. The sewer line, well, if you know where the pump station is, goes down Kahite Trail, down Ganega, around the corner, under the lake, up onto Niles Ferry. Now the pipe under the lake, they tell me, is 10 feet below below the water line. It's a 5-inch pipe encased in a 12-inch pipe, so the chance of having it break or damage is fairly slight. But it does go into the lake, and then it takes a right and goes 2 miles down Niles Ferry before it gets to the Monroe County system. And that 2 miles of pipe, even though it's on Niles Ferry, we own. The POA owns it, has to maintain till it gets to the Monroe County system. So we will be getting a full report sometime in September of '24 as to what the recommendations are as far as the water and sewer situation, including the upgrade of the pumps and when that will be needed. As far as rebuilding the lift station or new pumps, et cetera. I wish I had my slides to show you the pictures, but Some lovely pictures. The last other thing is, and this is not only in Kahiti, there's an odor problem. Some of you, I'm sure you've all noticed when you go by that pump station, every once in a while there's an odor. And one of the studies we have commissioned with Jacobs, not only here, but throughout the village, is an what's called an odor study, or a smell test, as I call it. And the problem is that those system we have works on charcoal scrubbers, and they have to be changed every 2 months. And they cost about $3,000 a scrubber. And if it's a bad weather situation, they maybe have to be changed even more. They're working on a plan. We only have a preliminary report that some sort of a chemical can be put in there to eradicate the odor, so when you walk by, you don't feel that pungent smell. So POA is working on a lot of things. Tanasi is another one. We just, the past meeting, we approved going out to bid on a plan that was put forth by the Tanasi Restoration Committee, and we hope to have those bids back sometime in the next couple of months, and hopefully get started on the Tanasi rebuild project. It's taken longer than any of us wanted or expected, but we think the plan we have is a really nice plan. It's going to be a really nice building, and it'll be a real asset to Tellico Village. And I will be around later on to answer any questions anybody has. Okay, thank you.
Great slide presentation, Bob. When it's posted to the website, I promise you the slides will be in there. Mitch, I hope I have your slides. Let's make sure. Would you like to click?
Well, good evening. On behalf of Ms. Paulette and our county commission, it's an honor to come and speak with you and give you the state of the county. And certainly we have a tremendous amount of information, and my understanding that the goal tonight is not to be flashed by Levon. So that's our goal. So, but I can't promise that'll happen. I want to start out with something very inspiring. As I was listening to all these stories. And first of all, I appreciate the committees and each one of you for what you do on a volunteer basis in some leadership roles. You know, this past January, there's a very famous football coach from that other state, the University of Alabama, that retired. But Coach Saban was obviously a very smart coach, very inspirational. But one thing that he said, in a leadership role, he says, if you're interested and all you want to do is make people happy, don't be a leader, sell ice cream. And how true that is, guys, how true that is. And as I say that, last fall, which encompasses everything that has been said, food services, beautification, Ron, golf, and the list goes on and on. In my job, you know, we have site visits with industry and business and things like that. So I had a site visit at a Von Orr location, and the company, which was from the Midwest, they wanted to locate a golf course. So I brought them to Kahiti. Mayor Mitch Ingram is not a golfer. I know that the Masters is next week, and I'll watch it, but I'm not a golfer, so I entertained them on the golf. I did a lot of the golf cart driving, not as much as playing. We ate in the pub, Tom, and we landed a $52 million deal because they love this community so well. So thank you for what you do. And guys, the trees, the pub, the golf, the herbicide application, everything that you have mentioned tonight is impactful. So with that being said, we're gonna speed through this, and Paulette can hijack me anytime that she needs to. State of the county, we're very busy. And first of all, thank you for inviting us to come annually and not just election years. That's not what we do. Okay, we want to inform, be transparent, and to show as much as we possibly can. So we'll just get right to it. unemployment rate, I want to highlight that. It says 3.2% for Monroe County. The new statistics for January just came out Monday. We have dropped to 2.9%. Experts, yes, experts basically say from 3 to 5% you have no unemployment. So obviously there are still many, many jobs out there available, but we're very excited to be classified as a rural county and have a less than 3% unemployment is impeccable. When we started and Paulette was on the commission in 2017, Monroe County as a whole was a distressed county. Then we moved into a at-risk county, and this last year we became a transitional county. No county out of 95 in the state of Tennessee has moved 3 categories. But it's folks like Paulette, it's volunteers like you that contribute to society in our county, every part of our county, that we've been able to accomplish that. Our financials, and I'm not going to bore you with a lot of boring statistics because I've got some things specific I know that you're interested in for Kahite in this particular community. And also Chet threatened me not to steal any of his time too. This goes back to what we talked about back in 2017. It was kind of a magical year, and there's a lot of numbers and colors up here, but the thing to really zone in on and from 2017 is the red was spending. The red was more than the revenue. Now, those of you that are in the business world know that our goal is to at least break even, but at least spend less than what we make. That's what we do in our households, right? Well, we took that same vision and that just common sense approach and applied it to our county. And as you can see now, revenue is above spending. And that's something that we're very, very proud of. We're very, very conservative. The county commission is very, very conservative. We don't necessarily agree all the time. What the county commission gives my 15 departments to operate is what we operate on. I get this question a lot, and I know Paulette does too. Well, where does my tax money go? And yes, I'm very proud to announce that, and thank you so much. We understand those 600 homes and those 800 plus lots, what they contribute to the tax base of Monroe County. And that is one of the things that we're going to talk about with something that we've, Paulette and I, and as well as Chet, have been working on to certainly reinvest what you have invested in this county. 50% of your property taxes go straight to education, public education. So every dollar, 50 cents goes to public education. So that leaves 28%, which is the blue area, to operate most of the other county offices. The sheriff department, the highway department. Highway department is kind of a little bit of an anomaly. They've got a different number. But solid waste, highway, and the general fund is all operated with a very small portion of tax dollars. And I have 15 departments under myself, but solid waste and so on and so forth. And I know that I was so glad to hear that the planning committee talk about forecasting 6 to 20 years in the future, how important that is. Because we can't get, we're obviously growing as a county. We're no secret anymore. So that brings up infrastructure issues, growing pains. And we're very, very proud to complete some water line projects. And, I've said and I've listened here for the last couple of minutes talking about water and sewer infrastructure, okay? Obviously, those are important, but we still have parts of Monroe County that does not have fresh, clean water, and the county commission has allowed us to get water lines to some of those communities, and we still have several other communities. Howard's Chapel, we just completed. We are currently on a project in Sweetwater and Loudon Road, and then we'll move on to Madisonville and Tellico. If you will notice, we're trying to touch all parts of the county in this, and it will continue. So, and these are live pictures as of last week. Many of you visit and participate at our wonderful Monroe County Airport. And I just can't say enough good things about our airport and what we do out there. And it's all been with grant funded, and Tom McCosh does a tremendous job. Many of you in here support that facility and what goes on. We have just introduced, along with Sequoia High School, a Civil Air Patrol, which is very similar to ROTC, but it's at the Air Force level. And we're doing that right here in Monroe County, and we're blazing the trail, so to speak. These are brand new hangars that are being constructed with grant dollars and private funds, not Monroe County tax dollars, but Monroe County will receive revenue off these. So we're very excited about that. And of course, last year I think I explained that we've had some paving projects and some things like that. Environmental issues is always garbage. Garbage is always an issue to talk about. Convenience centers, and I'm going to show you here in just a moment the latest on the Von Orr site. This was a couple of months ago, and unfortunately sometimes government moves at a snail's pace. Paulette knows I'm a very ADD person. I'm very energetic, I want to go, but sometimes when you deal with federal dollars and even state dollars, not so much local money, but grant money, things move tremendously slow. So we actually have got past the excavation stage. The equipment is on site now, so we are preparing to start with the concrete and things like that, the electrical and the plumbing. State-of-the-art facility. Now, again, this is in Niles Ferry Park, and it's going to be it's going to be a state-of-the-art facility. We've already got other counties calling and asking if they can come and visit as soon as this is completed, because it will have its own recycling center, but this is not a stinky, smelly dump. Okay, this is a state-of-the-art facility. There will be no smell. There will be, nothing on the ground. It will be very well landscaped. It will be very pleasing aesthetically to look at. This is something I believe that this group is very interested in. We've chatted before at your request about recycling here in Kahite. And Chad and I, we sat down after the last meeting and we started having some hard conversation. This thing called money always gets in the way sometimes of negotiating. But at the end of the day, we came to an agreement. Chet came up with the site, and these containers, as you can see, are almost $11,000 each. And now keep in mind, you have to have a container for each product. One for plastic, one for mixed paper, one for cardboard, one for glass, and etc. Even though they have multiple doors, you can't mix those in there. So we have agreed to supply Monroe County 4 of these containers for Kahite. So now one, and I apologize to some, why is it taking so long? These containers are on a 9-month order wait. So, we're trying to get all of these containers and you've seen on the snapshot for the convenience center how many containers are there. So we had to get those ordered. We got this facility ordered. So, and the money's already there. They've been purchased. So we're very excited about that. Here's some other containers that don't necessarily affect the Kahite, but it will affect the community, the convenience center. These are just some standard yard containers. If you take your garbage or some of your maybe tree clippings, et cetera, notice the price of these goes up exponentially. And you have to have things like compactors. Believe it or not, we will have to have a compactor for your cardboard, just because, and we'll have to have a compactor for your plastic, because you put a milk jug or water bottles in, to make sure that we get the most efficient space we can. They have to be compacted so we can have more and more. Outside of the cost of the containers, is obviously those containers have to be emptied and moved and hauled, and that does come with a cost. And notice that, you know, basically $286,300 for plastic and cardboard. That's each load. So it depends on how many times that you fill that container up per week, per month, per year. You know, that's times 286. And that goes to a facility called West Rock. Glass, $170. Metal, I don't think we'll put a metal container here, but we will have a metal container, obviously, available at the convenience center. So that's been a project. There's been a lot of number crunching on that, some give and take. Again, Chet has been a pleasure to work with. Paulette has certainly been a huge cheerleader for this project, and I know that you're ready for this. All right, animal shelter. This is very exciting. The Monroe County, it's not the Monroe County Animal Shelter. It will be have another name based on the donor of that facility, but that is nearing completion. That will be completed probably July 1 and open for business by August. So we're very excited about that. That is actually a transition for the county because we currently run and operate a very old, dilapidated animal shelter. And because of folks like that's in the room tonight that has supported that, Monroe County Friends of the Animals, for a long period of time, we've been able to limp along until this dream has come true with donations not only from this room but out of state. And of course, our roles will now reverse, as where Monroe County will not be the manager and the operating the facility. It will be Monroe County Friends of the Animals, but Monroe County will still, based on the memorandum of agreement and understanding, we will supply the same budget numbers for that facility. So that is very exciting. I did have the opportunity to tour that a couple of times through different phases of the construction. It's impeccable. It's impeccable. They have a surgery room that's probably equivalent to many veterinary hospitals there. It's very, very wonderful. So we look forward to the ribbon cutting, and at that, I was fortunate enough to go to the groundbreaking a few months ago. So just keep that in mind for this summer, this fall. The fairground facilities is coming on. It's through the bidding process. Of course, this is going to be an exciting revenue source. Again, grant money, no taxpayer dollars, and this is something that's going to be great to Monroe County. This is something I'm personally passionate about, but we've partnered with the city of Madisonville. You know, there is no disability or disabled, and I don't want to use the word handicap, playground in several county area. And so with the possibility of some grants, we were able to partner with the city of Madisonville to get a $500,000 grant to install a disabled handicap playground at Kefauver Park, which will include not only items for children and adults with disabilities to enjoy themselves, but many sensory type items too, so those families can go enjoy an afternoon or an evening or a Saturday. So that equipment has been ordered. That will be completed by this fall for sure. So in closing, and before I let Paulette bring any closing comments, I love how a lot of these folks have said, well, how can you help? How can we help? Stay involved. Do what you're doing, you know, and you're doing an incredible job. So just continue to volunteer to all of these organizations, the EMRs, the animal shelters, the airports, the schools, the rescue squads, whatever those charities or organizations are, please continue to do that. Support local business, not only your own pub, which, you know, Tom, you know, I mean, explains so very well, you know, support our local businesses here. The litter pickup, I heard about what was it, Litter Angels, I believe. I love that. I love that. And certainly we would be, as far as the solid waste department, would love to help you if we need to supply you with anything, containers or anything, grabbers. a truck, you know, to actually do the collection, we'd be glad to do that. So continue to do what you're doing. You have an outstanding representative for your community in Miss Paulette Summey. Outstanding. And so with that, Paulette, I didn't want to hijack this, but I was just trying to avoid the flash. I was just trying to avoid the flash. So Paulette, go ahead.
Thank you so much for the opportunity of being here tonight and to know that we truly are working for you. And it starts with the mayor, and he's always looking out for new things and what can be done. And of course, I'm bringing your phone calls. I get calls from several people, so he knows. I've had 10 calls in the last 2 days, please. But number one, be glad you've got Angie and her team. That girl is amazing in every way. She's a local gal from Madisonville, and she is amazing in every way. And I know there's restaurants looking to nab her anytime they possibly can. So we're glad that she's here. I bring family and friends over, and we've never been disappointed with food in any way, because she and her group do an awesome job. But we have got a school board member that'll be running for election. So far, there's only one person. His name is Mitch Avery. He's a financial manager. He will do a great job. Don't know if other people will be running, but I feel Mitch will represent the area really well, and we're really glad. The mayor supported our efforts in getting that one school board member. I'm still fighting for equality. So now I won't be running, nor the mayor, in this election in August. We'll run in 2 more years. So you'll be hearing more information about that. The convenience center is so important, not only to Kahite, but all the other areas, all the gated communities around Vonore. And as Mitch said, please continue volunteering. It is so important, and you're so appreciated. I hope people tell you how much you mean to the community of Vonore, because you have so many people. The museum in Vonore, we've just had Miss Edna that has retired after being there 9 years. So we're looking for volunteers. If you look for me, that's where I'll be, is trying to keep our museum open, because you'll get to see the history of Vonore and where we came from. When I was growing up, the downtown of Vonore looked like a Norman Rockwell painting. That's how people were so appreciative and prideful of everything they had. It has declined terribly, and I have been encouraging the mayor to apply for grants for downtown improvement. I can't do that. All I can do is encourage, and if you have an opportunity, please, offer that. But it would help so tremendously. Just the mayor has started THDA, isn't it? For low-income housing. That's to help people. That's just one of his new projects that he's applying for grants for. We do have a new grant writer for Monroe County. The county commission had approved that, and we're so glad to have her on board and assisting the mayor. He was doing the industrial recruitment, the county mayor, and anything else that he could. You don't know how many hats this guy has been wearing. And we've been encouraging him. So the grant writer, we're hoping will just bring more dollars into Monroe County. And one thing I'd like to see is a visitor center in Vonore. So that's what I'm hoping for. As you come off the bridge, coming from Maryville, where the picnic area that Monroe County is maintaining, wouldn't that be a beautiful place to stop people for a visitor center? We'll see what we can do. We'll put pressure on these men. Thank you again for the opportunity of being here.
I know we're running long. We had this scheduled for 2 hours and we're at 8 o'clock. So sorry, Chet. No. Come on up. But Ed, we may not be doing the website. Okay.
Okay, first off, there's your first 30 bucks. I don't know, you can put it up there. There's Bob's.
Oh, there's Bob's.
There we go.
We'll just
There we go. Wait, one, back up one. There you go. Okay, so far, all your presenters have covered everything that I was going to talk about. Not exactly, but almost. So a couple things that I want to update on that are Kahiti specific. There is an area we have more than one. We have a couple different areas where we have property that is still not platted and undeveloped. And right now what we're looking at is working with builders and developers who are interested in partnering with us to put in the infrastructure as well as build there. And so we're trying to find that kind of collaboration to be able to sell those and make money on them. And that's part of that area that's over behind the 17th hole. And it's kind of a tricky area, so it's been interesting to find somebody who is willing to be involved with that. The second thing I had on my list was the cell tower at Kahiti. As it turns out, the vendor who was trying to court us to put that in there has backed off and doesn't want to do it. However, it brought up an interesting consideration is what if we built our own tower and sold the rights to that tower to several different vendors? So we're looking at the possibility of doing that because that may be a really good piece of income for us. Let's see, the riprap. You may have remembered that I had a visit with the Cherokee, the Eastern, excuse me, I have to get this right, the Eastern band of the Cherokee Nation. And we had talked about some of the areas that face them that along the shoreline is eroding away. And I didn't say a word, they brought this up. They looked at TRDA, who was with me, Brian Hall, and goes, I thought TVA had a budget for that. And Brian kind of looked at his shoes and went, yep, they do. And so it's currently in TVA's hands. They're aware of it. Both the nation and TRDA have brought it to their attention that that whole area needs to be riprapped, and it will be done at their expense. So that's the other good news about that. It'll be done at their expense. And last but not least, we've talked about a person in this room tonight multiple times, just kind of breezed right by it, and their involvement in many of the projects that we've talked about tonight, food service, some of these other things, this person has been involved in it from the very beginning, and I will have to admit she's been involved kicking and screaming sometimes, but she's been involved. And she does an incredible job, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank and to recognize Mitzi Lane for all the things she does for us. She is my right hand, and she is unfortunately way smarter than I am. Anyway, moving on. Okay, there was a couple of questions about smart water meters. That's kind of an oxymoron, but I'll just go with that. Smart water meters are being put in place throughout the community, and we use them, as this particular question indicated, to try and find leaks
But the misunderstanding of what leaks we're finding is from the meter to your house. It's not from what's going on out in the water system itself. And because we have really, and I'm really excited, all kidding aside, to say this, we have a tremendously improved meter reading process, so that now we actually can call you up and say, hey, you know, we just did a meter read and your meter is off by a lot and we don't know why. To give you a heads up about, hey, you may have a leak somewhere. And it's not as uncommon as you might think. One of the most common things, especially for those of you who may have multiple floor homes, is that people will have a bathroom downstairs with a toilet running that they didn't know was running, and it's been running for a month. And those are the kind of things that sneak up on you that will show up in that meter reading process. Now, in terms of leaking within the water system itself, that's a little trickier. And because we have problems like evaporation, and we may indeed have leaks underground too as well that we have not been able to find because they're small, they're not that big. So we are looking into the processes of how can we begin to locate these leaks in the water system. One of the challenges is, and this is always kind of a misunderstood thing, and it goes back to some of the things that Bob talked about with the septic pumps and smells and all those other things, is all of our systems are pressurized. There's no such thing as a gravity-fed septic system in our community. A gravity is exactly what it sounds like. Everything just runs downhill. There's no pumping, there's no nothing, it just runs downhill. And that is fairly common for that kind of thing. But in this community, all of ours are pressurized and pump-driven. And so it requires that sometimes that the wastewater, is that the right term, Bob? Wastewater? The wastewater stays in the pipe longer than it normally would. And so as it's slowly moving through the system, it does exactly what you may think it does. It begins to smell. And that's what is causing some of these problems that we have at the different pump areas, is the wastewater is not moving through the system at the same rate it used to. Why? Volume. There's just more people using that system. So that's part of those studies that we're talking about. That's part of the details they're going into, is how do we mitigate this? And there's multiple ways to do it. We just have to find the right one that's the most cost effective. So we are in the throes of that, as Bob already pointed out. Mayor Mitch has already covered the recycling, and we just talked about that. I'm good. Y'all have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Chet. So we are 10 past 8. I'd like to allow maybe about 10 minutes for questions if anybody wants to hang on, or we can dismiss right now and you guys can send me questions. Does anybody have a preference? Dismiss? Dismiss? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, we'll go ahead and dismiss. As we normally do in Kahite, if everybody could fold their chair and help us put them up. Please send me any questions that you have, and I will make sure that it gets to the right person. And thank you.